What is up, everybody? I'm Dr. Ray Gorman, physical therapist, CEO and founder of Engage Movement, a company that helps coaches and rehab professionals break free from the time trap with our performance provider growth model. So you no longer have to rely on lengthy in-person sessions that tie you to a schedule. You can finally add freedom building, recurring revenue to your operations and escape the constant roller coaster of revenue. Today, we are going to talk about the PPGM, what we call the Performance Provider Growth Model, the model that we teach within our program. We're comparing that to online only businesses because a lot of people think what we do is help people build online only business, and that's not 100% true. So let's first break down kind of the history of what's happened with the virtual boom. I'm sure y'all remember 2020 and 2021. There was a little something that happened that essentially shut the world down for in-person operations in many industries, which created a lot of opportunity for companies to adapt, to figure out how to take in-person services and start fulfilling for them online. So it's no surprise that now in 2024, there are many businesses that have kept that model. Now here's where the trouble starts. What worked in 2020 and 2021 doesn't really work the same as it does now. Part of that is because consumer behavior has reverted back to pre-pandemic behavior. So people are now going back to in-person offerings. They're comfortable going into public spaces. There's not as much need or demand in the online space as there was when you're choosing an option that is serviced and fulfilled in person or an option that is serviced and fulfilled online. Now, don't hear what I'm not saying. I am not saying it is a bad idea to build an online business. I am saying you need to readjust your expectations of the current environment that online businesses provide today. What's happening is a lot of companies that had a lot of success in 2020 and 2021 are now saying it is so easy to build an online business. Here's our 5-step formula of how you can do that. And what's happening is people are buying this dream. They're being sold a dream, but they're not being sold realistic expectations of the time debt that it takes to build that online business, especially service-based businesses like, rehab professionals, coaches, and trainers going into the online space. So that's kind of the background of what's happening right now. Let's talk about the difference of what we call the PPGM, the Performance Provider Growth Model, and how that compares to online only business. So the Performance Provider Growth Model is essentially a blended operating model, meaning you are getting the best of both worlds. You are getting the connection, the interactions, the speed at which you can build an in-person business, because all of that trust building is going to happen so much faster in person than it is online, in combination with the freedom and flexibility that adding a virtual offer, aka online business, the thing people are seeking with online business, you're getting both of those things combined. Now, the beauty of this is we can have a much quicker timeline to meaningful revenue when we are building an in-person service-based business. Why? It's simply easier to connect with people. It's easier to gain trust. It's easier to gain buy-in. It is easier to have conversations and speed up those conversations. So the PPGM is built from a local epicenter, right? It is built within your community. It is leveraging people that you know, relationships that you have, your authority in the space already. You're not needing to create that for an ecosystem online where the realm is vast. The PPGM is supported by high volume influx of cash through selling packages, selling sessions, but it gets scaled through a virtual mechanism, a process that we call process scaling. We're not going to scale with people. we're going to scale with process. We're going to figure out how to work with more people without taking on more overhead. So we use what we call a prescriptive exercise program to layer in tandem with the in-person offering. So for example, a client would come in to work with us. We'll show you this again on our next slide. Client will come in to work with us. We'll work with them for 10 sessions over the course of 4 months, but we'll also provide them a program for, let's say, $300 a month that will work with them for another 3, 6, 9 months beyond that to fully solve their problem. The PPGM also allows you to leverage relationship marketing within your area to connect with businesses that you can be symbiotic in nature. Gyms, yoga studios, golf courses, golf pros, baseball clubs, basketball clubs. You're able to just be in the same room, breathe the same air, provide value, be there at multiple touch points. It's so much easier to build that authority within that space. Now, when we look at the online only model, the reality is you have to pay a debt somehow, an attention debt. You can either pay that debt with money and ads, right? So you're spending money to get attention, but you're going to have colder leads. You're going to have a more skeptical consumer because they don't have brand awareness of you yet. Or you're going to need to pay a time debt. And anybody telling you that they're going to help you do it in 3 or 6 months, probably not telling you the truth. It's going to be longer. You have to really embrace the long game. We're talking in terms of potentially years. Now, this business is built remotely and therefore scaled through virtual mechanisms. If you are going to build an online-only business, you need to figure out, how do you get in front of other people's audiences? Are you going to be reaching out to podcasts? Are you going to be reaching out to other accounts? Are you going to be reaching out to other companies that service clients online where they're symbiotic in nature? A lot of people just simply are not willing to do those things. So again, in theory, establishing an online business makes a lot of sense, but in reality, it becomes very difficult. Now, again, not to discourage you from going and starting an online business. If that's what you want to do, you truly need to commit to it. But this is to show you that the PPGM, our model, can give you the best of both worlds. It can give you that quicker starting point. It can give you that immediate upside, and it can give you more sustainability over time. So let's look at the PPGM in action, right? Like, a client comes to us, they need our help. They need our service. They're looking to get back to a CrossFit class. They're looking to get back to weightlifting, golf, running, whatever it is. We would sell that client after an evaluation, an in-person evaluation. We sell that client a plan of care, a plan of action. Let's call that 10 visits that we're going to use over the course of the next 4 months. Now, in tandem to that, we enroll them in what we call a prescriptive exercise program that goes beyond the in-person process. So we know that when clients come to us, the first goal is get them out of pain, but the second goal is bridge that gap from when the client is out of pain to a protective workload that allows them to go back to the activities they love without having flare-ups, without being in this recurrent cycle of re-injury. So what we're now able to do is provide and create a baseline workload, give them graded exposure to help get more full and complete outcomes. So if you feel like you have only part of the solution with your in-person process, if you feel like you've been building your business online, but you're just not getting the traction that you want, it's been 9 months, it's been a year, you're still having a hard time getting your first client, you're having a hard time demonstrating your value, I want to invite you to follow us over on Instagram at Ray Gorman DPT, where we talk about this stuff all day, and head over to www.engagemovement.com. Check out our programs page, look around, and see if the PPGM, the Performance Provider Growth Model, is something that you are interested in starting today.